findings of the Home Affairs Select Committee. I'm joined now by Maurice Mcleod, Chief Executive of the NGO. I haven't got that race on the agenda. My apologies, Maurice. I had a real problem with my notes there. This report here from this cross-party group of MPs, how significant is this, and does it show that the Home Office has really learned nothing since 2017?
Sadly, hello, Michael. Sadly, it's not really surprising to anyone that's been working with the Windrush generation or looking into the scandal. It's there's nothing particularly shocking in there. We've known for ages that hardly anyone is getting access to this compensation. As you sort of said in your sort of lead up to this, it's very rare for justice to find on behalf of people of colour. So it was like, wow, you've actually accepted that this was absolutely wrong, and that you're going to. I think the Conservatives made a big thing about there being no cap on the amount of compensation that they would pay, and they were going to put things right. And now, 4 years later, like you just said, only 1 in 5 people have applied, and only 1 in 20 have actually had any, the compensation that they're due. 23 people have died waiting for this. It's pretty shocking that we're still in this situation. But the report in itself is just saying the stuff that we know. Whether it has an impact, it should do. I mean, it should. Heads should roll, but I'm fairly certain they won't.
And so from the sort of the bits of the report I've read, I have to, I admit I haven't read the whole thing. The suggestion seems to be that there are too many hoops for people to jump through to apply for this, and then once you've applied, it's too slow to come to any kind of conclusion. So as you said, 23 people have died waiting for a decision to be made. Is this incompetence, or is this malice? Or I suppose the third option is this just the Home Office don't want to part with this money, so they're deliberately trying to make it difficult to claim?
Yeah, see, I don't think it's the third one. I think that, as I think the report says, the same problems that kind of led to the scandal, the same almost inbuilt lack of understanding, the same issues that sort of said, oh, well, of course people will turn up with passports because everyone's got a passport because we all go on holiday twice a year. That sort of mentality is embedded within the Home Office. So when they provide, a load of forms that are really quite difficult to work your way through, and they ask for evidence that they assume everyone's got and they haven't. It's that sort of inbuilt insensitivity, as the report says, that's been found out again. It's why us and a number of other anti-racist sort of groups have been arguing for ages that this shouldn't be done by the Home Office. The other thing is there's a massive lack of trust with, understandably, black communities in the Home Office anyway. This is the same people who were trying to chuck you out of the country and deny you access to the rights that your parents probably came over here to save. Those same people are who you've got to go cap in hand to and ask for sort of some money and trust that they're not going to do anything dodgy with you, and that they're not going to find something else about you and try and find a reason to throw you out of here. So there's so many inbuilt things here. I think that, as has been said for ages, this needed to and still needs to be handled by an independent organisation. There are loads of community groups that the communities do trust. There are loads of organisations out there that could get in touch with these people and help them through the process. Doesn't seem to be a massive drive to doing that. Maybe it's fear of what sort of stories will come out and how will the government look. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but the fact that it's still being done by the Home Office and it's still being done, I would say, badly is shameful, really.
And obviously, this story relates especially to this compensation scheme and people's ability to claim it. I'd like to know, what else your understanding is of how that Windrush scandal still affects the people who were caught up in it. So is it the case that now, people weren't able to get jobs or healthcare or got deported, but now all of these public institutions are being very apologetic and saying, oh, let's make your life easy now because it was so difficult for so long? Or are people still facing a lot of the challenges that they faced before we all knew about this scandal?
Well, because the Windrush scandal, you said again in your build up, was sort of sparked by this desire to be so hostile, to have this hostile environment and be really tough on immigrants or anyone that doesn't belong here. And and basically within that sort of drive, that this generation of old sort of Jamaicans, your mum's part of the Windrush generation, got sucked up into it. Now, because there's that inbuilt drive to be hostile, and that's not gone away. So yes, they've realised they made a mistake with the Windrush generation. They're very apologetic verbally or publicly, and oh yeah, this is terrible. But the drive is still there to be really tough on migration. The drive is still there to be, to root out people who are illegal. So a lot of the issues that impacted this community at the time are still hurting them and hurting their children. And it's no. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've got planes full of Jamaicans that the Home Office are desperately trying to send home. There's the mood hasn't changed. They've decided that, okay, we didn't mean you, but the mood hasn't changed, and so those people and their descendants, and people who have all their documentation but maybe look like they're Jamaican, we all still get sucked up into this hostile environment. There's no half measure. You can't say, okay, we'll be nice to these guys, but we'll carry on being tough on those guys. As long as you're being tough, the most obvious other people are us, the people with black skin. It's really, really evident that at some point in the recent future, my family didn't come from here. So it's very easy for us to get sucked up within any sort of hostile movements. Look at what's happening to delivery drivers when there have been random immigration stops, because they clearly look as if they're from somewhere else. So none of this have changed, and so it doesn't surprise me that the victims of Windrush are still being caught up in this same environment.
Maurice Mcleod, thank you so much for joining us this evening and articulating, I suppose, so well how deep this problem goes.
Thank you, Michael.